scanning the black, tracking the heat, never turning back. Control 22, a covert gaze. Control 33, in the cosmic maze. Controls in the mix, secrets untold. Silent watchers, brave and bold. In the shadows, they silently glide, protecting our interest, far and wide. As fears, sentinel of the night, watching over with infrared sight, alerting us to threats afar, guiding our defenses like a guiding star. In the silence of space, they keep their post, shields unseen yet feared the most. With precision and speed, they warn of danger, keeping us safe from the missile's anger. As beers, sentinel of the night, watching over with infrared sight, alerting us to threats afar, guiding our defenses like a guiding star. Controls in the mix, secrets untold, silent watchers, brave and bold. In the shadows, they silently glide, protecting our interest, far and wide. As fears, sentinel of the night, watching over with infrared sight, alerting us to threats afar, guiding our defenses like a guiding star. Sentinel of the night, watching over with infrared sight, alerting us to threats afar, guiding our defenses like a guiding star.
S. Spears, Sentinel of the Night. I love it, guys. It's awesome. Sorry, let me fix the volume. You can always tell when it's messed up. I also might have to get a new headphone thing here. It's kind of weird, cutting in and out occasionally. Anyway, welcome everybody. As you saw from the name of this stream, Secret Science Wednesday. I feel like that's a good name. We're going with that. So we got Malaysian Airlines Monday, we got Secret Science Wednesday, and we got Free Energy Friday. So hope you guys enjoy the names of my new streams. And somebody just posted, I probably should put like episode 1, 2, 3 or whatever in there as well. Probably will end up doing that. I'm going to shout out the ladies here in the chat. Chaotic Good, I saw you. Heather Birdie, I saw you. And there was an Ellie sighting up there a second ago as well somewhere in this chat. So welcome to the ladies. Appreciate you. And welcome to everybody else in MH370X. Appreciate you guys being here tonight. Do have a little special surprise, but I'm not quite done yet because I was getting ready right before this. But martinis are coming back tonight, guys. Martinis are coming back. Yeah, how am I feeling? Let's say I'm feeling good enough to have a martini for the first time in over a month. So went to the Cosmic Summit early last month, came back, was sick, like double sick. It was terrible. And I have not had anything to drink since then. So finally, we're doing it here tonight. Unfortunately, I did not get the blue cheese olive stuff. So if I'm looking to the side, that's the reason why I'm doing that and getting these things stuffed as fast as possible. And while we're doing that, we're going to do just some brief synopsis of what's been going on, a couple of videos we're going to look at. And then we will also, we're going to talk about plasma today as well. So we've got a pretty good stream in here. Yeah, the Cosmic Summit almost killed me. Like, I mean, I couldn't believe like how wrecked I got from that, honestly. But it was fun. It was worth it in the end for all of that, guys. It was a good time. So if you guys have not been following my Twitter post today, we're gonna look at some of the videos that I've been posting over the last couple of days. It's wild to me. Like the more I think about this stuff, and I want to give you guys a little bit of insight into my thought process. Feel free to ask me any questions you want while we're kind of doing the introduction here before we dig into it. It's wild to me how this stuff hasn't really been figured out. You know, like I probably shouldn't even be in the position that I'm in trying to disclose this because I feel like other people should have figured it out already. I mean, I think that nobody would argue that the military has advanced technology that the public doesn't know about, but nobody like says, what is that? And how far back does it go? You know, and now I think I'm pretty much ready to say that I think I've got a pretty good understanding, hypothetically, from where this technology was developed and how far back it goes. Hey, Evan, what's going on, brother? Good to see you. I think that we figured this technology out in the 40s. I still don't know if like it's reverse engineered from UFOs or if that's just a big psyop. I will say I think that the plasma orbs are definitely going to be like a Project Bluebeam thing coming in the future. I don't think it's going to happen the way that people expect, but I think that the government will use the narrative because when we look at the MH370 videos, I'm going to post one of them real quick while I'm doing this here. If you were to, like, everybody who comments on these videos always says you think that aliens took the plane, and fair enough. Like when you look at these videos, you go like, a lot of people say like that must be aliens, right? So when these orbs get broken out and they show up over a major city at some point in the future, like either our orbs or China's or Russia's or wherever it is, a lot of people are going to go, this is an alien invasion. And then what's going to happen? The right wing, honestly, both wings, but mostly I would say like right wing social media is all going to go, this is Project Bluebeam. This is they're using this as a fake alien invasion. And I think they're going to be right. Like, and we've seen how the government will use narratives to their advantage. I definitely see that happening with these orbs here as well. One of the very first things that I realized from looking at these orbs is that this is not like there can be an object inside here. I think I was talking to Chaotic Good in some DMs the other day where she was mentioning, I think that there's an object inside of these in this video here. I agree. There's definitely an object inside. The reason why there's an object inside this, guys, is because what we see in the thermal video. Like when we look at this thermal video here, this is the giveaway that this is a plasma sphere. The big question is, can this be seen? Could you see this with your naked eye? I'm still not really sure, to be honest with you. I think that if it is seen with a naked eye, it's going to be like a bright object, probably white, white light. And the heat signature here, the orange slice, is Chaotic Good is saying in the chat right now, it gives it away. The heat signature you see there is that this is some kind of plasma field. And I went back. Whoever sent me some of these links, guys, I'm sorry I'm not crediting you on them. It's too hard to keep track of who's sending me what. But somebody sent me this link to Tim Pool's podcast with Matt Gaetz from September. We're going to look at the clip in a minute. It's a really interesting comment where he mentioned something about the heat signature in the orb that he saw. Now, he says, though, that it was a metallic orb. But I'm wondering if he's looking at it in thermal, how does he know that it's a metallic orb? He says he's looking at it in a FLIR. And he was also only shown a picture. So really, really makes me wonder if, like, did he see a heat signature that looks like these heat signatures in this video? Because if he did, that's wild. And like John's saying, I definitely think it's a toroidal field. For the people that don't know what a toroid is, basically just like a donut, a ring. You make an electromagnetic ring, and then this basically traps the magnetic field. And then if you go back to your Maxwell's equations and you look at the right-hand rule, it's kind of weird how to understand the right-hand rule with respect to a toroid in a ring formation. It's like, is it just feeding into itself? Like, how does that exactly work? So pretty interesting on that one. So let's go close this out. Go back to our big screen here. So today I want to look at some pretty interesting stuff. The first thing I want to show you guys, see if I can find it. Here we go. Yeah. Okay. I want to show you something interesting, guys. And I want to know I'm going to make a meme out of this later tonight, probably right after this stream. This right here is from, I think this is from Star Wars Now, but this is basically the Thomas Bearden. If you guys have been watching me for a while, this is the one of the screenshots from Thomas Bearden stuff where he's talking about scalar interferometry, right? Scalar wave beam, target aircraft, zap. Now, right away, most people look at this and they go, Well, this is like a directed energy weapon. I mean, like that's technically the way that Thomas Bearden describes is you create an interference zone at the distance, and that this can create action at a distance. And when you think about action at a distance, that makes you think about Einstein, spooky action at a distance, quantum entanglement. Now, does this image remind you of anything, guys? Has anyone looked at the thumbnail for this stream that we're on right now? I was making this stream link here, and let me pull this up. How's this grab you? Huh? Does that look similar to you guys? It's the same picture. This is the same, basically the same picture. What the hell? Look at this right here. Look at this beam. And this right here is a laser. It says raster optics and mirrors down here, which when you look at this, if it's just lasers and mirrors are basically like an interferometer. Yeah, like this is like we're this is like somebody's stole this basically. I mean, it's the same exact thing. So let me go back to the other one just for comparison purposes. I mean, I can't even distinguish between the two. Here's the first one. What the hell? What am I missing here, chat? Is there a way I can pull this up in Paint and look at them just like flip back and forth between them? Yeah, spot the difference between this set of images. It's the same image. So we're going to look at this as well. So on the agenda tonight, we're going to look at some videos. We're going to look at the patent related to what I just showed you here a second ago. To this one. This one comes from a patent that we're going to talk about. And we're going to try to understand plasma a little bit. This actually comes from a laser-induced. This one here is from a laser-induced plasma. And it makes me wonder, like, is that like the cold explosion that Thomas Bearden was talking about? Spoiler alert, the patent that you're looking at right here is from the U.S. Navy. So I find that interesting because that's the same people that got Salvatore Pais' patents published. The more I've looked into a lot of this, like it seems like the U.S. Navy is the one gatekeeping a lot of this information. Or maybe they're trying to get it out. I don't know. I can't really tell, to be honest with you guys. So I'm curious as what your guys' thoughts are. Put your thoughts in the chat. And yeah, somebody's asked me like earlier today, like Ashton, they said, do you still have your job? Technically, I still have my job. Yes. Although obviously, like it's been hard to do as much stuff that I've been doing. But what I will say is I'm still doing my normal job. I am still doing the ether tech stuff. What I will say publicly is I'm not really posting much publicly regarding what's going on related to that. But we have been taking client calls, setting stuff up, talking to people. And yes, it's legit. I have seen the meters. It's legit. We're not going to, I mean, just because of the nature of it, like, and some people I've seen like trying to criticize, oh, Ashton, sold out, or, he's not doing open source, blah, blah, blah. Man, guys, like when this gets real, it gets real, man, is what I want to let you guys know. Like, this is not like a joke. This is not a game. Like, people literally get disappeared for this kind of stuff, what have you. I've got a lot of irons in the forge at the moment, and I would really like for some of them to pan out. So I'm being very cautious about how we're proceeding with a lot of this stuff. It doesn't mean I'm going to stop, like I said, with doing what I'm doing. But the reality, guys, is, and I've always said this, is that I think this technology will lead to the end of our civilization, destruction of the world. That's what I think. I think that this technology, thank you, Leah, appreciate you, will lead to the destruction of our planet. I think it's inevitable. And that's a very scary thought. It's not something you can just laugh off. So if you come to the conclusion that this technology will destroy our planet, then you can start to realize that this is actually a situation where this is dangerous. Like we might, maybe it's not the right thing to disclose this. And then I can understand, I'm not saying it's the right thing to do, but I can understand how the government would hide this and why they would hide this. You know, it is like the flip side of the coin of the Manhattan Project. We developed nuclear weapons, and maybe back then as well, we figured out something that's even more dangerous than nuclear weapons, which is scalar physics, free energy, unlimited energy, and a way where we can destroy anything, anywhere, you know, through the vacuum of the ether at speeds that are faster than light speeds. Now, the last thing I'll say, and then we're going to jump into this here because I just finished my olives, is that I think that we figured out the teleportation aspects. Like, I think we figured out that teleportation was possible, maybe going back all the way as far as the 40s or the 60s. But I don't think that it really took off until we got to the 2000s. Why the 2000s? AI and quantum computers. That's where I think the stuff started to take off. And one of the videos that we're going to watch here in just a minute talks about AI and the government potentially classifying information about AI. Why would the government need to classify anything around AI? That's just the first question you should be thinking of. Like, and then when you think back to the thermal or the satellite video that we just watched. One of the things I was saying from the beginning is that we needed to understand AI and quantum computers, understand how those orbs are circling around the plane. Is that there's some kind of guided mechanism or pre-programmed mechanism. What if AI is much more powerful than in the military side than what we think is possible on the public side? That's just something to consider, guys. I think that's probably the case. And then I think somebody said, well, why you still disclose it if you believe it? Well, this is a fine line we're walking here. So there are people I think that want this information out. And I think I'm one that still does anyway. It's up to us to decide if we destroy ourselves. But we just have to be smart about it. Like, we can't ever disclose this information unless we wake people up to the risks and the dangers of it. So that's the reason why we still disclose it. And the reason why we disclose it is because we want to get to Star Trek world at some point, right? Somebody asked a good question about if we have free energy, would Bitcoin mining be obsolete? The answer is no. Just like everything else, free energy, especially early on, possibly never or forever, doesn't mean literally free energy, like money-wise. Free energy means free energy that we can suck from the vacuum. We can suck unlimited energy from the vacuum. So there's always going to be a cost-benefit trade-off. In fact, I think that's one of the main reasons why zero-point energy over Unity has not become popular, is that the cost-benefit analysis at the moment is not necessarily there, although I think it's getting there, and in some cases can be beneficial to people at this point. So if the price does go down, though, what's going to happen is that it will impact the value of Bitcoin. If everybody can mine Bitcoin and the supply goes up, supply and demand, guys. If you increase the supply, the price goes down. In the case of Bitcoin, that would mean that the price of Bitcoin would fall. So something to keep in mind. Okay, now let's go ahead and let's take a look at one of these videos. Let me see what's on my agenda here. Let's start with, we're going to start with the Matt Gaetz stuff, guys. Okay. So first, let's start with Matt Gaetz, because if you've been following my Twitter, you'll see that Elon Musk is following Chuck Schumer, Marco Rubio, and Matt Gaetz. Okay, so if you guys have been paying attention to the stuff that I've been posting, this should be very interesting to you. Okay, why? I'm just going to go ahead and say it. Chuck Schumer and Marco Rubio are in the Senate. They are on the Senate Intelligence Committee. One thing you have to understand about politicians, not all the politicians know about this stuff. The ones that I would be looking at are going to be the ones that are in the Senate Intelligence Committee. Those people are going to know about classified content. And the ones that have been around for a really long time in government, senators are usually some of those. And then also the people that are being funded and they're getting donations from the defense contractors, the ones from Raytheon, Lockheed Martin, et cetera. You guys are familiar with some of these. I didn't know Schumer is pals with Tom DeLonge. Is that true? If that's true, that's also really interesting. And Chuck Schumer was one who drafted the UAP disclosure bill as well. And he probably also gutted it and sabotaged it, if I had to guess. because these guys, they don't want the stuff out. I mean, there's implications for them as well. We find out these guys have been hiding this technology for decades. Chuck Schumer has been in politics for what, 40 years or something like that? Really, really long time, like his whole life. So it's really interesting that Elon Musk is following them, and he's also following Matt Gaetz. Now, Matt Gaetz is apparently one of the only people that has the clearances in Congress to see any of this stuff. On the clip that I'm going to post to you, this is from the UFO hearing basically 1 year ago, like next week. And he says he's the only person in Congress that has seen this video. And there was a news article last year where I think it was Luna and Burchett were basically stonewalled. They were not allowed in. Only Gaetz was allowed in to see this stuff. So I want you to realize that basically 99.9% of Congress has no idea about this stuff. Like, they're just as in the dark as the public is. So the Gang of 8, the Senate Intelligence Committee, are the ones that you want to be looking at and you want to be listening to very carefully. Marco Rubio has been talking about there's incursions in our airspace and we need to be monitoring them, etc. So Elon Musk following them. Elon Musk has SpaceX. SpaceX had in 2021 a classified project that they got from the government. Elon Musk, without any doubt, has NDAs. Without any doubt. It should be very telling that Elon Musk would not comment on the MH370 videos, even when he had so much pressure that we know he saw the videos. We know Elon Musk saw the videos. And instead of commenting about the technology, which I've been talking about, he commented about aliens. Makes no damn sense. It was literally a copy-paste comment, which Elon Musk never does. So we know Elon Musk has NDAs. We know he's like one of the biggest defense contractors now with SpaceX. So, and he's following these guys that are all in positions to know this type of stuff. I also want you to judge in the second video that we're about to watch right here. I want you to judge Matt Gaetz. Judge the way that he interacts with Tim Pool and these guys. So let's watch the first video, and then we'll go to the second one. And I'll be right back here.
In a clear diamond formation for which there is a radar sequence that I alone have observed in the United States Congress. One of the pilots goes to check out that diamond formation and sees a large floating, what I can only describe as an orb, again, like I said, not of any human capability that I'm aware of. And when he approached, he said that his radar went down, he said that his FLIR system malfunctioned, and that he had to manually take this image from one of the lenses, and it was not automated in collection, as you would typically see in a test mission. So I guess I'll start craft.
Okay, one more time. We're going to play that one more time. Yeah, you notice he mentions the word orb. The word orb and the word manual tracking of the object. Both of those are very interesting because it begs the question. A lot of people asked early on in the MH370 drone video, why are they not auto tracking the orb? And maybe it's because they can't. Maybe because they can't auto track it. Maybe they're trying to track the orbs. Maybe the orbs are because of the electromagnetic interference makes so they can't track it. They can't even track the plane, maybe.
In a clear diamond formation for which there is a radar sequence that I alone have observed in the United States Congress. One of the pilots goes to check out that diamond formation and sees a large floating, what I can only describe as an orb, again, like I said, not of any human capability that I'm aware of. And when he approached, he said that his radar went down, he said that his FLIR system malfunctioned, and that he had to manually take this image from one of the lenses, and it was not automated in collection, as you would typically see in a test mission. So I guess I'll...
So that's pretty weird, guys, right? Also, yeah, definitely have to take a break from the shooter stuff going on, guys. Like, this is why I've had a lot of people messaging me stuff about the assassination attempt on Donald Trump. Obviously, it was an assassination attempt. It's just not in question. But we're at the point now on that whole thing where, like, everybody's just building fan fiction around the whole event on all sides. You got people on one side, they're saying it was all some staged event to make Donald Trump's popularity go up. And the other side, we've got people inventing extra shooters. We've got people saying it's a grand conspiracy, blah, blah, blah. We've got now people talking about somebody was trying to make money off of, Donald Trump coin and all this stuff. And I'm like, that's where I check out, guys. Like, I'm the kind of guy that I like to be there on the ground floor while it's happening in real time, putting the information out for people. But after that, I'm just going to step away from it. I've got my own opinions, but I'm just stepping away. That's where it starts to get kind of like off the rails, Okay. So it's good to have a nice distraction from some of that stuff at this point. Okay. There's a guy claiming the plane's underground. Guys, there's people that claim lots of crazy stuff, man, for sure. Now, maybe it is, maybe it's the plane, maybe it's in Arizona, maybe it's not in Arizona. The most logical thing to rationalize is that the plane just ended up at Diego Garcia and they disassembled it and threw someone in the water, right? Never see the plane ever again. Who knows though? People that think that somehow they flew it to Amsterdam and it became MH17 2 months later, full of dead bodies. I mean, it's some of this stuff is hard to understand and rationalize. At the end of the day, like if you don't have any evidence for something, there's not really a lot of reason to be kind of jumping on some of the conspiracies. Not that they're necessarily wrong, but it's just why waste the energy? So what deployed the orbs? So this is a really good question. We don't know is the first answer, but if those plasma orbs are really balls of plasma that are produced by lasers, it could basically be a satellite. They could come from satellites. They could come from boats. They could come from an airplane if it's got some kind of like weapon on it. And it could come from a submarine as well. They could come from pretty much anywhere because they're trans-medium craft. So pretty interesting, right? Happy hump day. Yeah, thanks, Bakers. Appreciate you too, man. Okay, so let's look at the second video. So that was the first video of Matt Gaetz. And then somebody sent me this, which maybe I saw this a long time ago. But this video
about the UAP stuff, or is
this was from September of 2023. And why is this interesting? Yeah, I've heard the word aegis a lot. I don't think I looked enough into it, guys. I have so many things to look into. It's hard to keep up. So if you do find relative stuff, if you guys, and also if you have links to stuff related to plasma that's relevant, feel free to post in the chat and we can look at it here later as well. So the reason why this is interesting is that back in September, Ian Crossland, I was actually talking to Dave earlier, and we were talking about the Tim Pool interview because I was telling him about this, and he was like, "Yeah, I wish Ian Crossland was there when we did Culture Wars because Ian Crossland's really smart. Like he randomly starts talking about plasma in this interview." Now, back in September, this was less than a month after the investigation had kicked up, and this early on, I had no idea what was going on with the science. Like I was open to everything. Back then, it wasn't until November I even started to consider the idea of like plasma orbs. Now, before that, like I thought there was a plasma field around it, but I didn't really think it was like ball lightning plasma orbs. And this is where like, so I would never even like had eyes on this back in September. I would never even consider this. It seemed too far out there to me. Now I look at it and I'm like, wow, this is pretty wild. Yeah, Naval Institute has a shit ton of papers on low energy nuclear reactions. Yeah, I would say, guys, there's a lot of stuff that I've seen that I don't talk about either in terms of not like people passing me stuff, but like scientific papers that are publicly out there that I haven't discussed as well. If you're interested, I would definitely look up the low energy nuclear reaction public papers. Any public papers you can find on there. I would take a look at them. Very interesting stuff, guys. Very interesting is what I'll say. I'll say I'm as convinced that we can teleport a plane as I am that we've already figured out cold fusion and that we've already figured out free energy, over unity, etc. So let's listen to this video, okay? I clipped this down. I also, just as a note, in the middle of this, I edited out a part where like Tim Pool was like convinced it was some kind of holographic optical illusion and that UFOs are a hologram psyop that the government's playing. I was like, Tim Pool like gets it sometimes, but then he goes these parts where like he thinks that everything's fake as well, where it's just kind of bizarre. For a guy that thinks that we have faster than light communication, for him to like think that this is all some kind of elaborate Vegas style drone illusion hologram is pretty absurd to me, man. So, what about the orbs coming from a wormhole in the very far distance to our world? It's pretty unlikely, man. So, a lot of people are very into the esoteric and also very into the alien stuff as well, where like the orbs came from another planet. When we look at the science that we see in the drone video, with the orbs converging, this is not um, from like a million years in the future. This technology seems advanced because we don't think teleportation is possible. But if you look at it from the perspective that teleportation is possible, then what we see in the drone video, and I'll post another clip real quick. What we see here, crap. Sorry, give me a sec. Let's open my mouse right now. Here we go. Okay. Share screen. This is relatively rudimentary. This seems like crazy advanced, but this really isn't. So when we're talking like, oh, maybe this is aliens that came from another dimension to visit us or whatever, like I'm 99.9% sure that's not the case. These are our technology that we've got out there. Nothing in this video, not even though it seems crazy and seems impossible, nothing in this requires aliens to explain it. It doesn't require stuff from the Zeta Reticuli. It doesn't require stuff from another dimension. Everything that we see here can be explained with physics that is already out there publicly available. If it was something where it is even more magical than this, that's where I would start to broach the idea of like, could the orbs have come from another planet, a galaxy, and come to visit us? Those types of scenarios. But because it seems crazy, but this is like low energy nuclear reactions. This is a ball plasma. This is cold fusion. And then when we see it converge, it's just Coulomb's force, Coulomb's law. Like none of this, like, yeah, it's wild, but it's just because we've never seen it publicly before. It can get crazier than this. Like it can get to the point where you can like just straight up, probably we don't even need the orbs. Like that's how advanced I think that it can get, where we can like literally just use entangled particles that are already out there and make like a Stargate, or we can just literally, we might even be able to do eventually Star Trek dematerialization and rematerialization, which at those points, then I'm like, okay, there's no earthly explanation. This is the part where I disagree with what Matt Gaetz said just now in that clip. Matt Gaetz said there's no earthly human explanation for this technology. He's wrong. There is. There 100% is. And that's the issue with people like Matt Gaetz, where I think Matt Gaetz is smart, but he doesn't realize that like we do have the technology to do what you're seeing right there. Microchips, cold fusion, like AI, quantum computers, that's enough. We've got enough out there to explain this. So just wanted to point that out. Let's go to the next part. Yeah, it is a wow, because the reason why it's a wow real quick is that if we can advance this technology even further, imagine how powerful it can become. And this is another reason why they're going to hide it, right? Is that like, okay, you've developed the atom bomb. You've learned that we can split the atom. You've learned that E equals MC squared. But now we're going to make hydrogen bombs, right? And we're going to make bombs that are 100 times more powerful than that. That's kind of the same with this as well. It's like, yeah, this is crazy. This is advanced. But we're about to make it like 100 times or 1,000 times more powerful. It's basically limitless technology. And the limit is just your imagination, in my opinion. And that's the part of the reason why they still can't disclose it, because we haven't hit that limit yet. And until we hit that limit, we're constantly advancing it. And as long as we're constantly advancing it, we can't let other people know that we even know about it, because then they might catch up to us. Crazy, right? So this is where I think it starts to give us this framework for how and why the government is hiding this. It's dangerous. They're advancing it even today and trying to make it more and more powerful. That's also why they're recording that video. Why are they recording this thermal drone video? We've never even seen a thermal drone video like this. They're recording it for intelligence purposes, clearly, so that they can even figure it out even better, right? Pretty wild, huh? And guys, it doesn't mean that ETs don't exist. I'm not saying that. I mean, honestly, like this is the funny part is people get so mad at me because I'm not all in on all the ETs are controlling our world and all this stuff, right? Because we don't need that to explain what happens in the world. It doesn't mean I don't think aliens exist. Like, I think that there's definitely life somewhere out there. The universe is too big for there not to be life. And we're too advanced. Like, I don't think that we just evolved from monkeys like 100,000 years ago. 100,000 years seems like a long time. But, like, look at how advanced and intelligent we are. Like, in my opinion, like, we are the aliens. Like, I don't know that we really can't. I don't know if this is our original planet. You know, that's my thought process. So there's a couple different ways to look at it. Okay. It could be a test, but I don't think it is. I mean, there's a lot of scenarios, guys. Like, and we'll talk about it on Malaysian Airlines Monday. I think that you could argue that if we figured this technology out in the early 2000s, then around 2014, we probably haven't used it that much. This might have been one of the first times we used it on an object that was as big as a 777, which is a huge aircraft, by the way. I mean, if you just look up the scales of the aircraft, Boeing 777 is a huge airplane. So I don't know that it was necessarily like a test, but technically every operation with this technology probably is a test. So heads up on that. Okay, let's go back to this.
Classified or what?
Well, what I can tell you is that I've seen things that there is no U.S. capability.
Okay, and somebody says, why early 2000s? Quantum computers. First quantum computer was 1998, at least the publicly known ones. When we look at the orbs spinning around the plane, to me, that requires a computer to pull off. Not just a normal computer, like a supercomputer. And this is the part where computers, yes, we had computers in the 90s, but they were starting to advance. I think we hit the inflection point somewhere around the mid to late 2000s where computers were no longer advancing like as powerful as they were. Like, if you guys were video game players, you would know that in the 1990s, you always wanted the newest computer because they were advancing so much. But now we kind of hit like a plateau where they're not quite advancing as much anymore. That's the reason why the 2000s are when I think we started to be able to figure out stuff that we're doing in the MH370 videos. I think we still knew about the science, but we couldn't do the crazy magical teleporting an object until we started getting into the 2000s probably. And I'm speculating, like this is rough speculation. Now, right away, Matt Gaetz says, you're going to see him serious, says, we don't have this technology, but his argument is, and this is the thing too, is like, okay, you don't just listen to what he says, listen to what his arguments are. His argument here is that he has seen the DARPA projects. Okay, great. You've seen some DARPA projects. You've seen what they've allowed you to see. Congress does not know about all these black projects. Some of these black projects, like we've looked at, are so classified, they don't even classify them. Because just classifying them means more eyeballs are on them. Do you think they're showing Matt Gaetz, who's a temporary employee who might lose his seat every 2 years in Congress? No chance, man. Now, if he's smart, he might be able to piece it together, but just like we were able to piece it together. But he's not being briefed in on every project that we have out there. That's crazy. Anybody who thinks that is extremely naive.
Aligned to, and we are unaware of any foreign capability that's aligned to. We had a circumstance at Eglin Air Force Base where during a test mission, our pilots encountered 4 aircraft that were in formation. There were not supposed to be any aircraft there because it had been cleared out for this particular weapons test. So someone went to go check it out, and they were amazingly able to click a photo of it, even though as they got close to it, all of the radar systems, all of the whole dash just went absolutely out. And but he got this one photo on one of his FLIR lenses.
It's kind of weird that he's talking about photos because FLIR lenses are videos. So this now makes me wonder. We start reading between the lines here, right? So first thing we read between the lines is that he says we don't know about this technology. We don't know if Russia or China have it. This just tells me that Matt Gaetz isn't deep enough into the intel community to know about it. Or he's lying, but I don't get the impression from listening to this he's lying. Feels like he's speaking honestly here. And then why is he talking about photos when we have video? So it's like he was only shown a picture. But did they really only get a picture? This is kind of like when Trump leaked the satellite picture on Twitter, on X, back in 2019. We know they have video capabilities. So, and a video is just a group of pictures stacked up. So it seems like they only showed Matt Gaetz a photo. I would love to see that photo. They're never going to show that photo. The reason why they're never going to show that photo is because anything they show is going to prove the MH370 videos are real. And it's not just because the MH370 videos, but that's the idea. If they show us anything about the surveillance capabilities and the capabilities of these orbs, people like you and I are going to figure it out. We're putting the pieces together way too quickly. That's why they can't show us anything. Because anything that they declassify now gives us a really good idea of what's out there that could be real, like especially stuff that's leaked, like the MH370 videos are. Yeah, I mean, you could have supercomputers in the 90s, but like even what we're seeing here is beyond like 90s supercomputers are like my cell phone today, right? This is like a 90s supercomputer right here. So keep that in mind. Somebody else asked another good question, then we'll keep listening to it. Yeah, I think they could do a screen cap. They're doing a screen cap of a video, right? Don't disagree there at all. And yes, anything is possible. That's one thing that we have to learn is that anybody that tells you something isn't possible, you probably should ignore what they're saying. That's not very credible. And there's a lot of people that say some of that stuff related to science, and then I'll be like, do you know what an Einstein-Rosen bridge is? It's a wormhole, right? Einstein's the one that figured this stuff out. He was talking about it a long time ago. It's possible. They're like, oh, well, it's not proven. Okay, well, not proven yet. Here we go.
I saw it. I have been pushing to get it out, and the hope is that we can get a subpoena to get some of these witnesses in to give them immunity. Because right now you got a lot of folks with information that want to come forward, but they're deeply concerned that if they provide it, that they could be subjected to different types of retaliation. And so if you get people kind of a friendly subpoena, it can immunize them to come forward.
I think it's likely just black operations military.
I mean, I would say that.
So, and here's the part too, where it's like, why Congress is so obsessed with whistleblowers. People can tell as many stories as they want. The public is never going to believe them. Doesn't matter. Stories are not good enough. This is why it kind of pisses me off with some of this UFO hearing stuff from like Burchett and Gaetz and Luna and Moshowitz, and these guys, like they're just chasing the wrong car here. They're dogs chasing the wrong car. Trying to get whistleblowers out there, it's going to wake up the people that are already awake. The people that already know we've got the technology and the people that already believe there's aliens visiting us. The whistleblowers are fine for those people. For the people that are the skeptics, those people want to see evidence, not whistleblowers, evidence. Declassify the technology, declassify the science, or declassify the videos. If you declassify the MH370 videos, it's over tomorrow. It's over tomorrow. They declassified the MH370 videos. The science is coming out. Everything's coming out all at once. It's that simple, right? Declassify MH3, or give us, you think the MH370 videos are the only videos they have of this stuff? Hell no. They probably got dozens of videos like that. Declassify any of that, and we got disclosure immediately. Poof, end of story. We don't need whistleblowers, blah, blah, blah. Now, Tim Poole here says, I think it's black projects. I agree. Definitely black projects, no question. And this is where you'll see Gaetz' response.
But I have been on the committee that oversees DARPA for 7 years. I have a pretty clear understanding of the stuff we're doing and the stuff we're not. And
I've been on the committee that oversees DARPA for the last 7 years. Okay, man. I mean, all respect to Matt Gaetz. Think you're a smart guy. The fact that you were on a committee for 7 years means nothing to the people that are hiding this stuff, man. That doesn't mean that you are all of a sudden seeing it. What he knows about is the classified technology that they're not threatened with him knowing about. They're not afraid of him telling somebody about it, right? Like nuclear weapons. Because everybody already knows we have nuclear weapons. So they'll show Matt Gaetz that. They'll maybe even show him some directed energy weapons, but they're not going to show him this technology. No chance.
So what do you, that's very possible. So what do you say?
I think they're lying to you.
I mean,
I don't know if the Chinese have developed a new technology that they're utilizing out of Cuba that ended up over the Gulf that we were not aware of. I don't know if we've got some programs that maybe are not fully briefed to Congress.
Yeah, I think it might be talking.
There you go. And he kind of figured it out. Like maybe there's some programs that are not fully briefed to Congress. There you go. There you go. You hit the nail on the head, Matt Gaetz. Why do you think we can't pass the Pentagon can't pass a budget audit? Well, because we've got programs that are not briefed to Congress.
Yeah, I think it might be talking plasma. Are you familiar with it? It's when they'll take lasers.
Ian Crossland off the top rope. Bro, talking plasma. Where is he coming out with the talking plasma? This is wild. All out of nowhere. Ian Crossland talking about laser-induced plasma. Out of nowhere in this interview.
And they triangulate into a point in the sky where they hit all these lasers at once. They create a ball of plasma that they can move around on radar. Looks like a craft, and they can project sound through it.
But dude, it's shutting down radar and other electronic systems.
Yeah, when you would get close to it, it could warp your radar.
And also,
I mean, Ian Crossland hit the nail on the head. Like, when we're looking at this is what I didn't even know Ian Crossland about this video, and I've been saying the same stuff. When you're making a plasma, it's like you're shooting laser beams into a field of gas, and you're creating a magnetic monopole that's sucking it all in there, like a little miniature black hole, basically. And you're producing cold fusion inside of it. That's what we're looking at, the non-radiating barrier. This is basically exactly what Bob Greenyer was talking about. And then you have another laser that's shooting outwards, that's creating your gravitational wave. That's just allowing the orb to float around freely. I mean, wild. And then Tim Pool messes it all up right here.
So where I saw the heat signatures did not make a lot of sense.
Where I saw the heat signatures doesn't make a lot of sense. What heat signatures? I want to know more than anything. Like, I want to call Matt Gaetz up because I want to know, where was the heat signature, man? Did it look like an orange slice? If the heat signature looked like an orange slice, wow. Yeah, sonoluminescence is absolutely tied to this. I think that sonoluminescence proves the concept of cold fusion, low energy nuclear reactions. They just do it with sound and water. But imagine doing it with plasma and laser beams. Same concept. You're creating this cold fusion type effect. Pretty wild. Yeah, I want to know the Pac-Man or the orange slice, like whatever Matt Gaetz was talking about with the heat signatures. I want to know, because if he says that he saw a heat signature like an orange slice in an orb, Yahtzee, chat, game over, right? Nobody could have faked the MH370 videos consistent with other videos and other science that people in Congress have seen that's classified. That just proves it's real, because that means that the only person that could have faked the videos is the government, right? Unless there's some hoaxer out there that just happens to have knowledge of black programs that were never discussed until 2023, right? Wild.
From a propulsion standpoint,
it could, but it also could be. It
could be laser vapor.
Could be
private sector.
Right. Yep.
Private sector, and see, he figured it out. Private sector. This is the thing. Yes, we have this big military, but when it comes to the research and development, we've outsourced it all to the private sector, the defense contractors, and they are completely shielded from any of this stuff. This is why Matt Gaetz isn't being read into it. Matt Gaetz isn't being read into Lockheed Martin's Black Project programs. No chance. This is how they hide it. It's just so simple. Hal Puthoff just told everybody to Jesse Michaels. Yes, this is why they set it up. They're shielding it. I would bet more than anything that Hal Puthoff is like one of the most in the know people out there regarding the science, the technology, etc. He's been doing it for like 50 years. He's smart enough not to talk either. I'll put a Discord invite link in the chat here for you guys right now, Dan. Let's listen to the rest of this.
Those private sector things that were joint ventured on, we have some understanding.
And they don't breach your airspace during your military tests.
Right. So this wasn't something that was moving at a high rate of speed. And so those capabilities were not reflected in the image I saw. We had a certain...
Oh, shit.
Project sound through it.
But dude, it's shutting down radar and other electronic systems.
Yeah, when you would get close to it, it could warp your radar.
Metallic, and also where I saw the heat signatures did not make a lot of sense from a propulsion standpoint.
It could, but it also could be.
It could be laser vapor.
Could be private sector.
Right. Yep.
Usually, those private sector things that were joint ventured on, we have some understanding.
And they don't breach your airspace during your military tests.
Right. So this wasn't something.
So this is where I cut out that Tim Pool's talking about holograms and all this bullshit that it was nonsense, and Matt Gaetz gives him a look like 3 times where he's like, "What are you talking about, dude?" Talking about, oh, they can move the lasers around, then it moves like the speed of light and all this bullshit, and it's like, come on, dude, you have no idea what you're talking about. And so that's why Matt Gaetz, it seems like he's responding to
it was moving at a high rate of speed.
Because then Tim Pool saying, well, this explains why it looks like it was moving so fast. And then Matt Gaetz comes in, it's actually not moving at a high rate of speed. And why is that important? Because when we look at the MH370 videos, the orbs are not moving at the speed of light. They're moving the speed of a slow-moving aircraft, 200 miles an hour. They're not moving at some insane speeds. This is where the fact that you can manipulate space doesn't mean that you have to go at the speed of light. You can actually just go whatever speeds you want with inertial mass reduction. That's what's so incredible about it. Can light be created? Of course, light can be created by sonoluminescence. I mean, that's what sonoluminescence is, right? That's where the luminescence part comes from. Anyway, let's keep going.
And so those capabilities were not reflected in the image I saw. This was more metallic, orb,
which makes sense. If it's a ball of plasma, it would look like an orb. Did it move not like an actual jettison craft, but like something where it's like,
hold on. Talking plasma or any kind of laser.
God, why did Tim Pool cut him off right there? I mean, Ian Crossland asked the best question. Like, how did it move? And Tim Pool's like, no. Let's not talk about that. Let's talk about laser light shows in freaking Vegas.
Projection doesn't have to move. It can be still and it can zip around and stop and start because
it could disappear and reappear somewhere else.
It's a laser pointer. All it is when you point a laser pointer at the wall, that's effectively one-dimensional. It's a point. If you take several different lasers where they intersect, the point will be visible in 3-dimensional.
You can tell he's not buying it at all right here. Tim Pool, this was way before Tim Pool knew about the airplane situation, by the way. This is like 5 months before my interview with him. So he didn't even know.
Space, and you just move.
You can just tell from his facial reaction right here that Matt Gaetz is going, Tim Pool has no fucking idea what he's talking about. No idea at all.
Move the lasers around. They do this in Vegas when you go watch light shows. The guy will have the laser in his hand and he's spinning it. It looks like he's flipping a laser.
And if you could if you could pulse it off and on fast enough in different locations, you could make it look like it's moving. Like
no, you could literally.
Yeah, Matt Gaetz is just like, yeah, that's not it, guys.
Just move the lasers.
Yeah, but if you can make it disappear and reappear really quick too, it'll give the illusion of movement. But it could give really weird.
I still just think the Occam's razor simple solution is the Manhattan Project was a secret, project. No one really knew what was going on. Very few people did. What we're likely experiencing is black operations or private sector military technology. And I'm willing to believe they don't brief Congress on these things.
I mean, so this is so weird. He makes the worst arguments about laser pointers in Vegas, and then he comes and hits the nails on the head with the whole Black Projects, Manhattan Project that Congress isn't briefed. Like definitely, I think that part's right. The idea that it's like some optical illusion, like what are you talking about, man? Now, this is the reason why we're watching. This is going to be relevant to the patent that we're going to get to here in just a few minutes as well. Okay.
You get the surface level stuff, and then
Matt would know about it.
Tim Pool has not asked any specific question. This is before my interview with him by like 4 or 5 months. So this predates that. Okay, so let's close that one out. Okay, let's go to the next thing here. Occam's. Nobody seems to understand Occam's razor either. This has got to be one of the most misused arguments that is out there. People use Occam's razor to like say, I don't want to believe in that, therefore it's not real, right? That's not Occam's razor. Like when you think of Occam's razor, you're shaving off parts that can't be possible. So Occam's razor is you're using a process of deduction. So you're shaving off things that are not possible. And then whatever's left is Occam's razor. It says that this is what's left. I've shaved off all these impossible things based on lack of evidence or, what have you. Occam's razor then says, here's what we have left. This is what must make sense. The way people use it today is stupid. They use it like Occam's razor says that this is CGI. What are you talking about, man? Occam's razor says that you're imagining stuff. That's not how any of this shit works. People are so stupid these days. People use fallacies incorrectly. They use Occam's razor incorrectly. okay, the reason why I'm not answering these questions, man, is because it doesn't matter. I don't know what you're getting at, but it's getting off topic. So, can you use plasma to produce laser light? I mean, I don't know, man. I'm not like an engineer expert on that. I'm following the same stuff you are, man. Come to your own conclusions. Okay. Next video here. So I haven't clipped this one yet. I don't think it's long enough that we're gonna get copyright striked. So this is, as you can see down here, John Trump. How do I get this? John Trump on Nikola Tesla. It's only 5 minutes long.
A plane to Boston to find Dr. John Trump of the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. Dr. Trump.
So Dr. Trump was from MIT. Okay, got my interest.
Trump was now retired from the company he founded, High Voltage Engineering.
And he had a company that he founded called High Voltage Engineering. This is already weird to me. So John Trump, Donald Trump's uncle, had a company called High Voltage Engineering. High voltage is the secret of anti-gravity, or at least one of the components to it. I mean, what?
But he agreed to meet me at the company office the next morning.
In the spring of 1943, Dr. Carl T. Compton, who was then president of MIT, asked me to go to New York and examine the effects of Nikola Tesla.
I'm going to put on the closed captions. It's hard to understand him.
These were contained in a...
Okay, so this is about he has to examine Nikola Tesla's effects to figure out if he's going to give them to his family. Effects meaning all the stuff he left behind.
In an upper floor of a warehouse somewhere in New York City. And I spent a good deal of time examining one by one the papers, the books, and various other memorials that he had accumulated. But I was particularly looking for something which would just be evidence of a secret weapon, which I was reminded by the agents, the two agents who were present during the entire time, was a matter of concern to the United States. In the course of this, I did come across a number of letters directed at the upper echelon of the British Empire, that is, I think, to the King and Queen, or perhaps just to the King of England, and also to the Tsar of Russia, explaining that he was the inventor of a secret weapon which had rather remarkable properties.
So this part right here, if you just see that he was developing a secret weapon that had remarkable properties. So now this has got my interest, right? Because if Tesla was working on some kind of secret weapon with remarkable properties, you could see why they would hide it.
And that he would be interested in entering into a negotiation which would lead to a disclosure of what they were. Of course, I spent a good deal of time looking through these papers, trying to find out what the nature of this secret weapon was. I think I had, although I don't remember it so very accurately, an idea of what its properties were. It had the capability of acting at a great distance.
Hold on, let me play it. It had the capability of acting at a great distance. Does that remind you of anything? Like all the stuff that Thomas Bearden was talking about with having the action at a distance? Pretty incredible, guys. So, yeah, the fact that he's talking about secret weapons that could act at a distance, to me, the explanation is scalar weapons. This is talking about longitudinal waves through the ether. The same thing about what we were looking at when we were looking at the images at the very beginning of this stream. Interference zones at a distance, creating and removing energy at a distance, spooky action at a distance.
Of being destructive to flying objects and things of that kind at a place which was remote from the source. But nowhere in his technical papers did I find anything which revealed
could damage aircraft from a distance, from very far distance from the source. I mean, there you go.
An explanation of just how such a device could operate.
So now this is the part where this is the big rub. He didn't find an explanation for how the device could operate, right? Now here's the thing where it's like, if you've only learned from the textbooks or conventional thinking, then you can't understand this science because you've been taught not to think the right way. So this is the part where even if you're a PhD that's got these, all these degrees and whatever, like, unless you understand scalar physics and Maxwell's original equations, you're not going to understand how it's possible. That's the rub.
I believe that you also opened another box, supposedly a secret weapon that he left at another hotel. Can you relate that story, please?
Yes, when I had substantially concluded my study on the following day, I think that was a Saturday morning, I was reminded by one of the two agents that there was a box being held as a security for an unpaid obligation, and that this box was an item of considerable value and may indeed itself be the secret weapon, that it was armed and therefore it probably was not touched.
Were you nervous doing this?
I found it a matter of a bit of concern. However, I realized that this had to be done, and so we taxied down to this hotel.
So basically, he says he found some other kind of box. He was told it was some kind of secret weapon, but what does that mean? It doesn't mean shit.
The agents identified themselves and their credentials to the assistant manager of the hotel, who led us to a room. This room
Why is this music kicking in all of a sudden?
was essentially empty except for a table and a steel cabinet against the wall, which was opened. I think perhaps he opened it with a key. The cabinet itself was empty, except on one of the lower shelves was a package, a box, a rectangular box of ordinary size, which was wrapped in brown wrapping paper. It turned out to be a highly polished box with brass clasps, and it looked more like an instrument case. And after waiting a while and listening a while and remembering that it had been there for quite a few years, I think it had actually been there for about 5 years as a security, I opened it. It turned out to be a decade resistance box, manufactured by...
What is a decade resistance box? I don't think I've ever even heard about that. I do think it's interesting that it's basically a musical box from Tesla. Why? Because a lot of the stuff is based on resonance and frequencies and vibrations. So the fact that there might be some musical harmonic component in Tesla was interesting. In that I think is interesting. Yeah, the music is really weird.
By, I suspect, an American manufacturer, and something of value, but not great value, and certainly nothing ominous at all in its nature.
So after Dr. Tesla had let the world know of his secret weapon, after he had written letters to the King of England and to the Tsar of Russia, offering them this weapon at a time when both were engaged against the Germans.
I mean, he sent a letter to the King of England and the Tsar of Russia. So obviously Tesla believed that he had developed some kind of super weapon, right? I also have no idea what that box, that decayed box or whatever he was talking about, made no sense to me. But okay.
World War II. No evidence or papers were found which referred to any such secret weapon.
My report to Dr. Compton was that I saw no danger in releasing these papers, and these.
So he sent letters, but they never found any science related to the secret weapon. Like obviously we took that shit and we just hid it. Seems pretty simple, right?
Alex to his heirs.
Miss Musar had arrived too late to know who had opened Dr. Tesla's safe or what had been removed. And Dr. Trump had found nothing which he considered dangerous or a secret weapon. Tesla had been a naturalized American citizen for 54 years, so why were his papers seized by agents of the custodian of alien property? I suspect that governments other than those of the United States, England, and Russia were interested in the inventions of Dr. Tesla.
Yeah, so we just stole the documents, right? I mean, end of the story. Pretty simple, right? We stole the documents, and we just then, we go, here's the stuff he can give back to his family. It's all meaningless. We don't give a shit about any of this stuff, right? Okay, let's go to the next thing. And it just goes to show, like, the government disinformation is so easy, right? All they have to do is hide some notes, and now the world just has no idea how it works. Even PhDs can't figure it out because they don't understand the concepts at all. And to this point, it's crazy to me people think that the government couldn't plant some pictures on the internet. Planting a picture on the internet for the intelligence community is like the simplest possible thing they can do. Like the easiest thing. I heard this weird claim in one of the X spaces, I think that JK Philly fan was doing, where the debunker people were claiming that the picture, these cloud photos were air gapped. He argued that they were air gapped. They were not fucking air gapped. Are you kidding me? There's no chance, especially when he argued that the picture was not just air gapped on the picture taker's hard drive, but also on the website, which is just frankly stupid as possibly can be. I don't know why are these debunker people lying all the time? And why do they just make up things that aren't true and play them off like they're true? That's the very definition of being a liar. The very definition of misinformation. Like, this is why I don't bother with the debunker people, because like they constantly just make shit up. They make up false claims about their skill sets that they don't really have. They pretend to be experts in like all these fields of study they don't have. Most of these people are probably unemployed losers and never had a real job in their lives, right? And this is why we can't, and it's not just the debunkers in the MH370 situation. You should not listen to debunkers ever in any situation, because it's always people like that, to kind of link it to the shooter for a second. Now it's coming out that the shooter was this anti-Trump guy that would pretend like he knew it all and that tell people about how their political views were stupid and stuff like that. I mean, that is the quintessence of Reddit, is the people on Reddit that they think they Googled something, so now that they're an expert on it, and they'll talk down to you about how they're an expert, and they'll have no problem lying to you about pretending like their skills are higher when all they did was they Googled something, found a link, read it, and now they think that they're an expert on everything. It's crazy. Okay. Hey, Arwen, nice to see you. Yeah, was Decade? Is that what? Yeah, it was probably Decade Box, right? Like, is Decade Box instead of Decade? Interesting. Yeah, I would actually guarantee, by the way, and I don't mean to talk about the assassination stuff, but that guy definitely had a Reddit account. Like, they're saying that he doesn't have social media. What they mean is he didn't have his real name tied to his social media. That's why everybody on social media uses, like, they're mostly all anonymous anyway, right? Except for on like Twitter, where you find a lot of people use their real names. On Reddit, there's like nobody uses their real names. So he definitely has social media. The shooter guy has social media. I'm sure he has a Reddit account. The question on whether or not they make that information public in the future, we'll see, right? We'll see. Okay. Let's go to, well, this is an interesting document. I'm going to show something here that I didn't even know I had up, but I'm going to have to look at this later. We're not going to look at this tonight, but maybe we'll look at this on Friday. Look at this. Just seems relevant all of a sudden. A brief introduction to scalar physics. Thomas Minderley. 2014. This is 4 days after the satellite video was published. Interesting, huh? Let's just read the beginning of this. The forces of magnetism, electricity, and gravity are distortions of a single primordial field that permeates the universe and comprises the fabric of existence. Vorticity in this field gives rise to magnetic fields. Dynamic undulations give rise to electric fields. Compression or divergence gives rise to gravitational fields. When put into mathematical form, these relations reveal how electric and magnetic fields can be arranged to produce artificial gravity and many other exotic phenomena, such as time distortion and the opening of portals to other dimensions. Well, chat. Wow. So this is, I mean, that person hit the nail on the head. I think everything they said makes perfect sense. Compression and divergence. What are compression and divergence? That's the stress in the medium. What's the stress in the medium? The stress in the medium is gravity. Remember, so compression and divergence are this. So compression is if I'm pulling this apart here, you have these outsides, the perpendicular sides get pulled together. You see this compression, and then you have this divergence happens as well. The compression is pulling together here in the middle. The divergence is my fingers. So my fingers, when I pull apart, that's the divergence. The compression is this part getting pulled together. This is what gravity is. If I pull like this on the fabric of space-time, you get compression and you get divergence. You get gravity. Like, why is this so hard for people to understand? If you're a PhD physicist and you don't understand what I just explained about compression and divergence and how that's gravity, like, you need to go back to basic physics. It's not even like that complicated to understand. Okay. We're probably going to look at this on Friday, guys. I don't think we're going to have time tonight. Also, quick shout out. Tomorrow I'm going to be doing another Republican National Convention live commentary stream with Chad and Sherry of Investigate Earth. We're going to start the stream up before Trump's speech. And then we're probably not going to talk as much during the speech because it was very distracting last time when people were like constantly chiming in with these comments while we were like talking over the debate. And we've got Mark Meadows is going to be there. So it's going to be me, Dave from Alien Addict, Jake Chansley, the shaman from January 6th, and then Mark Meadows, who is the former chief of staff for Donald Trump when he was president, White House chief of staff. So Mark Meadows, guys, former chief of staff for Donald Trump, is going to be on the commentary panel tomorrow. You better believe that I'm going to sneak a question in about the Salvatore Pais patents. It's definitely going to happen. I want to know, because Mark Meadows might get who knows, he might get another position in Donald Trump's cabinet if Donald Trump gets made president. I want to know, like, what does he think about, does Donald Trump know about the Salvatore Pais patents? And what are his thoughts about getting the technology out to the world? What time? Good question. I think the time is 7:30 Eastern, 6:30 Central. Let me just take a quick gander and then we'll go to the thing. Yeah, they said 7:30. I think they mean Eastern time. So, and then we're going to probably talk for like an hour ahead of time. We'll watch this. We'll watch the speech, and then we'll talk afterwards as well. Pretty sweet, right? Yeah, good to see Ellie again. This is the first time I've seen Ellie in months, I think. But she was one of our. I recognize the people that are in the chat like a lot, guys. So I appreciate you guys. Okay, let's get to the next video. I've got more videos, guys. We got more stuff to go through tonight here. What's the next one on my list? Okay, the next one is the one that I just posted on Twitter. So I'm putting this basically in like we're kind of going through each of these videos one by one because they're building up to something here, guys. They're building up. Okay. Sup, chat. I'm pretty. Okay. Thank you, Cryptic Conversations. So let's watch this one about classified physics.
As we argued in our meeting with the White House on AI policy was, look, there are going to be issues that come from AI, but they should be regulated. The regulation should happen at the application level, not at the technology level.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is basically because like to regulate math, right, at the level of the algorithms, like to regulate linear.
And he argued with me when I said that.
Well, yes. So Ben basically said, look, it doesn't make sense because to regulate AI at the technology level, you're regulating math, and of course we're not going to do that. Like that doesn't make any sense. And you'll recall that what they said was, no, actually,
we can classify math.
We can classify math, and literally, this is verbatim. This is we classified whole entire areas of physics in the nuclear era and made them state secrets, like of the like theoretical
physics,
science of physics. We classified them and made them state secrets, and that research vanished. And we are absolutely capable of doing that again for AI. We will classify any area of math that we think is leading in a bad direction, and it will end.
Wow. So we classified physics in the nuclear era and we made it disappear. Okay, here we go.
Was no, actually,
we can classify math.
We can classify math, and literally, this is verbatim. This is we classified whole entire areas of physics in the nuclear era and made them state secrets, like of the.
We classified whole areas of physics in the nuclear era and we made them state secrets. Yahtzee? What the hell? I mean, that's what we've been speculating. I didn't even start speculating this until Tucker Carlson went on Joe Rogan, probably back in February to April. And he mentioned the idea that there was this huge level of classification around the Manhattan Project, and maybe there was more that we didn't know about it. And I started thinking, I went, that makes the most sense for when we would have figured this out. What if we just showed, and I keep giving this analogy, one half of the coin? We showed the nuclear, the atomic side. We didn't show the cold fusion, the scalar physics side of the coin. We just never revealed it because the secrets just kept piling up. And then it finally gets to a point where it's so awkward we can't reveal it anymore. Because now it's like, wait, why have we been hiding this for so long? Yeah, wow is right.
Of the like theoretical
Physics, yeah.
science of physics.
Yeah.
We classified them and made them state secrets, and that research vanished.
We classified them and made them state secrets, and that research vanished. People wonder, like, how do they suppress this? Like, somewhere Eric Weinstein is out there somewhere, and he's sharpening his pitchfork, guys. I mean, he literally said, if they're hiding physics from the world, like, we're gonna get. He said he's gonna get his torch and pitchfork, and he's gonna go. What was it? March on the Academy of Science or some crap like that. Well, Eric Weinstein, if you're out there, brother, there you go. Pretty wild, guys.
And we are absolutely capable of doing that again for AI. We will classify any area of math
Yeah.
that we think is leading in a bad direction, and it will end.
We will classify any area of math that we think is heading in a bad direction, and it will end. Wow. You guys wonder why we don't know about inertial mass reduction? You wonder why when people talk about directed energy weapons, they just talk about lasers. They don't talk about scalar beams shooting in the sky, producing energy at a distance. This is why. It just gets classified. It's actually way easier than I thought to hide this science and this technology. I thought it was going to be difficult for them to do this. No, it's easy. It's trivial. They do it all the time. And the whole world doesn't care because you have morons like Neil deGrasse Tyson who go, well, there would be scientific papers available if it was possible. Duh. Yeah, well, they hid them and they classified them. That's why there aren't any. Otherwise, everyone would already know by now that we can teleport objects. What the hell is correct, guys? Pretty wild, right? Like, yeah, the science of plasma, they did such a good job of hiding the science of plasma. I had no idea that the science of plasma was even a thing before this whole investigation. And then I start talking to Salvatore Pais. He's talking about plasma all the time. And I'm going, why is this guy talking about plasma? And you realize they've just classified it all. They've hidden it all under the idea of cold fusion and low energy nuclear reactions, whole areas of physics. All of scale. And this, I mean, now I'm wondering, like, are they intentionally pushing Maxwell's, or are they intentionally suppressing Maxwell's equations? And that's why we only see Oliver Heaviside's reduced versions? Because that's how you get to the answers. You just look at Maxwell's original equations. It's crazy. I see links where people are like, and Maxwell's equations are this. They're not even Maxwell's equations. They're the simplified versions by Oliver Heaviside. Like, that's how easy the disinformation is. People literally attribute Heaviside's reduced equations to Maxwell. But those aren't Maxwell's original equations. What? Once I learned that, I was like, wait, what are you talking about? Like, they're literally just like attributing someone's science to somebody else. No wonder it's so easy to hide this stuff. That clip's on my Twitter page. Sorry, my thing came off here. Whatever, doesn't matter. That came from, there's a link somewhere in there. Actually, wait, I think I have it up in the background. No, I do not, actually. I closed it. It was like the Ben and Mark show or something like that, I think. I could be wrong, but take a look at it. You can find it if you guys check out on Twitter, because that video's been making the rounds on Twitter. It's been like, I got pinged on it like 50 times today. Okay. And one of the things that I've noticed is that some of the accounts that have me blocked, that are these UFO accounts or whatever, are also posting it. I think that the irony is so delicious, because there's a significant number of people, especially in the UFO community, that they think and know that there's some kind of stuff being kept hidden, but they're under this delusion that the government's just going to come out and admit it at some point. They're like, yes, the government's hiding this, but the government's also tells us the truth, and they'll tell us about disclosure when they want to, or whatever bullshit. And I'm just sitting here going, no, they're hiding it, and here's exactly what they're hiding. 4 orbs. This is what they're hiding. And those people are like, no, I'm going to block you. You're disinformation. What? I just look at these people. They're just completely lost. They just have no concept of like what actually they're hiding. If they're hiding something, it has to be serious, right? So just think it through. Maybe like being able to teleport an aircraft, that's pretty serious. Anyway. Okay, next thing. Yeah, Department of Energy too. Oh, by the way, I got my FOIA request back from the Department of Energy today. Said that the request wasn't appropriate for the Department of Energy and that I should FOIA request the FAA. I asked them for everything they have about MH370 over the time period like before and after the plane disappeared. And their feedback was, this is not appropriate for our department. Well, what the hell, man? You're clearly hiding the science. How is it not? And if it's not, then just come back and search and tell me you didn't find anything. It's just the government is just, it's the FOIA request thing is the most bullshit thing I've ever run across in my life. I at least expected to get anything back, and I've gotten essentially nothing back, and I've put in like 20 FOIA requests to basically every single agency that's out there. It's so easy from that. That's why like I don't trust John Greenwald at all. Either John Greenwald is intentional disinformation or he's a complete moron that doesn't understand he's being used. Nobody that gets FOIA requests back that have any substance whatsoever, they're being fed that information. Simple as that. That's as simple as that. I know beyond any shadow of a doubt because I've been getting stonewalled every single where I go related to this. They do not give you information that they do not want you to have, period. They have a million ways to prevent it from happening. And I am skeptical of UFO narratives, by the way. And I'm somebody before that, like with the whole Project Blue Beam stuff, I thought that was kind of nonsense. And now I'm like, that actually makes a lot of sense now, especially with all the reactions I get about the MH370 videos, where basically everybody is like, you think aliens took the plane, blah, blah, blah. And I'm going, man, they really are going to trick everybody. Like they're really going to have some orbs float down from the sky and they're just going to be controlling them by AI. And like half the world's going to go, the aliens are invading, the aliens are invading. And I'm going to be like, dude, they're just remote controlling our plasma orbs. It's not really that complicated. Right. So I don't know. That's why you just, and I don't have any hard, like I have an open mind regarding all that stuff. Like could be anything is the answer. But this is why people have to be skeptical of a lot of this stuff too. And I put zero credibility and faith in whistleblowers. I don't want to hear any stories. I just don't want to hear stories. And people get very offended by this because they're like, no, my stories and my experiences mean a lot. That's great. I'm glad that you have a story, you have experience. That's awesome. You know, end of the day, it doesn't mean anything for the public. Unfortunately, that's just the fact of the matter. Hell, people aren't even willing to believe in 2 perfectly in sync videos from military assets. You know, why would they trust some random person? You know, they're not. Just the sad part of it. It's too easy to lie. Just too easy to lie. Okay, let's see what else we got here. I think we have a couple more things we're going to do tonight. And I think that AI, because that was actually a conversation about AI that led into that video we were just watching. I think that AI for the military is far more advanced than the AI that we see from the public perspective related to the language learning models and stuff like that. Far more advanced. I also think that the quantum computers are being used in ways that we do not understand from the public perspective as well. JK Philly fan put those links in the chat for people that want. I also think that the Big Bang is probably going to end up getting proven wrong. It already kind of is, but yeah, I have a feeling that the Big Bang is probably going to get proven wrong. One sec. Just made a note of that too. Because the more we look back, the further the Big Bang gets pushed back in general. Neon clock with orbs and not for hands. That would be funny. Okay, just looking to see if there's any other comments in the chat before we move on to the next thing. Okay, there's way more comments. I'm just going to skip ahead of that stuff. Okay, next thing on the agenda is these Forbes articles. Yeah, that was from the Ben and Mark show, by the way. I actually have it up in the background here. And the only reason why I didn't credit the Twitter user that did the captions is that they've got a whole like thing added on, so you guys can find their name and attach them. I did follow them though. Okay. Now, God, Forbes, man, could they have any more advertisements on their page? It's wild. So there's 2 articles. We're going to skim these articles. We're going to get to the patents. Actually, bear with me 1 second. It's actually way too hot in here. I need to turn the AC on. So give me 30 seconds. Be right back, chat. Okay, we're back. God, that sign is awesome, man. I love this sign. I could move my setup slightly, but the way it's set up in the room, it's kind of stuck this way. It's kind of annoying. I tried moving it over where I would be like over here, but I don't know. I could probably do it if I want. We'll see. Okay. We have air conditioning now. Yeah, my guesses have been pretty spot on. I mean, I'm definitely not right about everything, not even close, but generally when it comes to the science, like my intuition's pretty solid. Okay, here we go. Navy creates plasma UFOs. Okay. Now, one thing too is that this, first of all, you can see here's the image we were talking about, the radar targeting image, but they cut out like half of it. Half the image is missing, the part where the thing's shooting into the sky. They're running a simulation from the black hole. Ellie's funny today. Okay. The Navy has patented technology to create mid-air images to fool infrared and other sensors. This builds on many years of laser plasma research and offers a game-changing method of protecting aircraft from heat-seeking missiles. So I think about this as this might be disinformation. Like, yes, this is possible, but this is basic. This is just a countermeasure. Like, this isn't what we need to use laser-induced plasma for, right? I think laser-induced plasma, and the first thing I think is cold fusion. I don't think about creating, countermeasures for missiles. Shoot the missile out of the sky. Why would we, if we can create a direct energy weapon, why do we need to have it distract, like holographically, like distract, rockets? Just shoot the rocket out of the sky. Phew, done, right? Doesn't that make way more sense? Okay, hold on. But yeah, so I get kind of a weird vibe from this, and I remember this story from a few years ago as well. For the people raging at Ellie in the chat, she's just trolling you guys. So don't take it too seriously. So it basically talks about using decoy, like decoy flares, pretty much the same idea there. A sufficiently intense laser pulse can ionize, producing a burst of glowing plasma. Huh. The laser-induced plasma effects program uses single plasma bursts as a flashbang stun grenades. Technically, you can do this, but this part's interesting. A more sophisticated approach uses an intense, ultra-short, self-focusing laser pulse to create a glowing filament or a channel of plasma. This sounds just like sonoluminescence, right? If you can do sonoluminescence, why do you care about creating some kind of weird countermeasure? You can go well beyond that. So, like, can they delete something off the internet, guys? Like, no offense, but like, do you know how the internet works? There's no deleting stuff off the internet. Like, that's not really like a thing you can do. You can suppress and you can censor stuff. They delete stuff off of Reddit, but does it gone? No. The more that you try to delete something, the more the Streisand fan kicks up and people go, why is that being deleted and who's deleting it, right? So that's the big question, is that if these videos were to have disappeared, it would have brought attention to the fact that they're out there. So this is the reason why they don't do it. This is part of the reason why they don't, like, you could argue as well, same argument is like, why don't they just classify, like, shouldn't this stuff be classified? Because then you find out, well, no, they don't classify it all because the classification process brings more attention to the technology. Same reason why they don't delete videos from the internet, because people have already shared them and they're already everywhere. The moment you start deleting it, now everybody's re-uploading it and they're going, the government is deleting this video off the internet. Now, that being said, you just reminded me of something. which is that Regicide Anon literally said they were going to delete the video off of the internet. Why would Regicide Anon say that? 3 days after he posted the video, he makes a Twitter account. One of his first tweets was to watch the video before it gets deleted. His account ended up getting deleted, but not until, we actually don't know exactly when, but we think a few years later. So it is kind of weird. Like, it seems like they did act, but they waited until the attention died down, and then the Regicide Anon versions just disappeared. But then, you know, they're on the Wayback Machine, which is where we found them. So for the record, the earliest location where we were able to find the video did get deleted off the internet. The only way that we found it was from the Wayback Machine. As far as we can tell, the Wayback Machine maybe can be manipulated, but probably not. We're not really sure, to be honest with you. I was going to post a quick image of that. Oh, I don't know where it is, actually. Oh. So maybe we'll save that for Monday. Oh, found it. Here it is. Okay. I'll share this with you guys real quick. Oops. Kind of weird, guys. Why would Regicide? Look at the dates on this, okay? So alternate angle. This is 1 day after the second video was uploaded. Alternate angle of the airliner abduction video just received. Honestly, I didn't even pay that much attention. We're going to have to go over this on Monday, guys, for Malaysian Airlines Monday. So this proves that Regicide Anon got the second video. He said he received it June 5th. So somebody sent him these videos. Regicide Anon might be one of the first people to receive these videos. 5/22/14. This is 3 days after the satellite video was published on YouTube. Please spread this video before it's pulled. Before it is pulled. He tags UFO Updates, UFO Chronicles, Ben UFO, Open Minds, STV, UFO, and MH370. On Chaotic Good's birthday, he posted this. And this was actually his very first tweet. My first tweet, 5/22. Hello, Twitter. So makes a Twitter account. The same day he makes a Twitter account, he posts this video. This is the part where the debunkers come and they say, he posted fake videos on his channel. Yes, he has fake videos on his channel. So what? He didn't make a Twitter account for any fake videos. So he posted fake videos. And then all of a sudden he makes a Twitter account and he goes, watch this before it's deleted. Right there. And then the second video. Then he receives the second video in early June. And then it gets published a week later. And then the day after he publishes it June 12th, 2014. The next day he says alternate angle just received. Here you go. So, like, there's only two options, right? Either Regicide Anon is in on the hoax, or he's being used as part of the hoax, or the videos are real, right? Regicide Anon has to be connected. These tweets basically connect Regicide Anon to the videos in a way that nobody else's uploadeds do. Regicide Anon also argued for the authenticity of the videos. To me, it's crazy that I have to go through this much effort to convince people that obviously real videos are real. The only reason why people don't believe these videos are real is because they don't want to believe what they see with their eyes. That's it. It's as simple as that. Simple as that. Anyway, let's save that for Mondays, guys. We have never been able to find Regicide Anon, for the record, though. Has the user appeared? The user never came forward. Regicide Anon never came forward. You would think that if Regicide Anon was involved in some kind of hoax, they would come forward. If Regicide Anon was involved in the videos being real, then Regicide Anon might not exist anymore, right? Regicide Anon might have been taken out, or they might be terrified of coming forward. Okay, let's take a look at the rest of this article. With suitable tuning, they can emit light of any wavelength, even terahertz waves. This technology underlies the Navy project, which uses, I think this is laser or whatever, to create phantom images. Huh. Okay, and we found this patent, which is what we're going to look at here in a second. So let's see if this is really about decoys or if there's some other technology related to this. Unlike flares, this can be created instantly at any desired distance from the aircraft. How are you pulling this off? Shouldn't this defy the laws of physics? Lasers move at the speed of light, not instantly. It can move with the aircraft? I mean, guys, like this looks like a plasma ball. Like that, what they're explaining here is the orbs in the MH370 videos. Yeah, and terahertz waves, high frequency waves are what a lot of people have been talking about related to anti-gravity. I think that this technology is not about decoys. This technology is potentially much more powerful than just creating random decoys. Imagine that you just create one of these balls of plasma and then you just use it to destroy anything that comes at you. The potential applications of this flare and decoy can be expanded, such as using a helicopter deploying flares to protect a battleship. Yeah, I don't know, guys. This seems like exactly what we see in the orbs, doesn't it? Oh, the lead researcher is Alexandru Henning. 2017 piece in Navy's IT magazine said that Henning had been working on laser-induced plasma at space and naval warfare systems since 2012. That's before the plane disappeared. Wow, what if this guy created the orbs? Holy shit, chat. Holy shit, chat. We need to talk to this guy. We got to find this guy. There's no way he'll talk to me, but yeah, Yahtzee chat. I think we found the guy. I don't know. For some reason, I feel like we found the guy that made the orbs. I've been wondering who could have made these orbs. I was actually talking to Dave about it like last week. I was like, how many people are out there that can make the orbs, right? Like, I don't feel like Salvatore Paez made them, but I feel like Salvatore Paez knows about them, right? From the patents that Salvatore Paez puts out, I think that he knows about them, but it didn't feel like, I just didn't get the impression from my intuition that he made them. And I'm sitting here wondering, like, the people that know about this technology is not this wide, huge people, but I would expect it's probably somebody connected to the Navy. This guy could be the guy. If you have a very short pulse, you can create a filament. And in the air that can propagate for hundreds of meters, and maybe even with the next generation of lasers, you can produce a filament even a mile. Huh. Phantom aircraft that can move around at high speeds and appear on thermal imagers may ring some bells. After months of debate, in April, the Navy officially released infrared videos of UFOs encountered by their pilots. Though the Pentagon refers to them as unidentified aerial phenomenon, the objects in the videos appear to make sudden movements impossible for physical aircraft. Holy shit, chat. This is weird. Huh. In the 1990s, the Russians claimed they could produce glowing plasmoids. What? At high altitude using high power microwave or laser beams? These were intended to disrupt the flight of missiles. An answer to the planned American Star Wars. Isn't Star Wars now from the one from Thomas Bearden? Okay, well, we're clicking on this. Okay, I'm going to read this later, chat. I'm going to put this in our Discord. So if you saw the link to the Discord, there's a public science channel. Huh. Very interesting. We'll look at that later. Okay, let's look at the next one real quick. So let's close this. This is where this one came from. God, look at all the garbage that's on this Forbes website. As previously reported, they're looking at high plasmas, blah, blah, blah. Back in 1966, commentators were trying to make sense of previous reports on UFOs. Project Blue Book. So a UFO skeptic said that UFOs were some luminous plasmas of ionized air, a special form of ball lightning generated by electron corona that occurs on high tension power lines under certain conditions. Wow. Thanks, Superfly. I appreciate you, man. Yeah, it does feel like we are right over the target on this one, chat. Thank you, Superfly. I appreciate you, brother. This is pretty wild. Ball lightning can occur naturally during electrical storms or in high voltage electrical gear. Okay. Modern ultra short pulse lasers provide reliable means to create plasma remotely. Huh. So these ultra short pulse lasers, somebody just won the Nobel Prize for attosecond lasers or femtoseconds. I don't know which one is shortest, but like the highest frequencies there are of the shortest pulse durations. In 2005, scientists working for French giant Thales published a paper looking at missile defense potential of this effect, in particular for countering heat-seeking missiles. Plasma that can be used as active decoys against IR homing. Yeah, I definitely think that the plasma decoys thing is a way to phrase it incorrectly, or way to phrase it to confuse people. Okay, let's see what else we got. Wait, they don't want to discuss it? But while they talk freely about scientific and commercial uses, the Thales laser website page does not mention military applications. Chinese paper on femtosecond laser applications to EO countermeasures also discusses the potential for short pulse lasers in confusing missile guidance, but there's not appear to be any other open source Chinese papers. Yeah, guys, this feels like this is like us disclosing the plasma orbs. Okay, anything else? They could create glowing balls of fire in the sky by crossing the beams of two powerful infrared lasers. I mean, this sounds exactly like Thomas Bearden stuff. The beams were invisible to the naked eye, but where they intersected, their electric fields became so intense that they ripped apart molecules in the air, creating a plasma. Whoa. Yahtzee. There is no way this is a coincidence. No way, man. Now it's starting to make sense, right? Ellie, what are you doing, Ellie? Yeah, this is we're talking about interferometry right here. That's literally what they're saying, where they intersected. By moving the laser beams around in the sky, the researchers found they could shift the plasma ball back and forth at a very high rate of speed. Maybe. Definitely interesting. So this was definitely what Ian Crossland was talking about. This is what Ian Crossland was talking about for sure. Oh. A talking fireball. Yeah, so this is where he's talking about sound waves as well. I think the better use of sound waves is for anti-gravity, frankly. Maybe that's how they're producing the gravity wave in front of them. Wait, they released a video? Okay. How much you want to bet this video doesn't exist anymore? Yep. I knew this video was not going to exist anymore. Why did they delete this video, chat? Femtosecond laser beams, huh? Yeah, guys, my spider sense is going crazy on this. Like these femtosecond lasers, like there's something to this. This is not just creating a decoy. How did I just totally called that this video wasn't going to exist. It's only 6 years ago too. It's not even that long ago. Okay, let's go. Let's leave that open. Let's go to the patent. Okay. Now here's the patent, chat. Thank you, JK Philly fan, if you're still here. System and method for laser-induced plasma for infrared homing missile countermeasure. What the fudge? There he is, Alexandru Henning. Application filed by Department of Navy, 2018. You guys can see this, right? Yeah, okay. Let's take a look at the image on the right. This image on the right over here. How do I make this bigger? This looks just like Thomas Bearden's image. Almost identical. And it makes me wonder if now, instead of having two beams, like we can just use like a single beam to produce the effect. Like maybe we have figured it out from a single point source because we've got our miniaturized electronics at this point. To me, there's no way this can be this coincidental. I mean, it looks just like the scalar interferometry images. Interesting stuff. Let's see what other images we have. Let's pull this one up. Ultra high current density, ultra high magnetic field. And look at the magnetic field spinning around in a circle right here. Toroidal shaped magnetic field. Electrostatic field. And then you're going to have your ions. This looks really similar to anti-gravity, you guys. Laser pulse, which is like super fast here. Nuclear excitation, nuclear reaction. This is absolutely cold fusion, right? Like, isn't that what we're looking at here? Relativistic electrons moving this way. I mean, how is this? I'm not the only one seeing this, right? That formation might produce solitons. I don't know what that means, but sounds good. Yeah, this definitely, to me, looks like this is the secret right here. This is the patent that we've been looking for the orbs. Okay, let's see if there's any keywords. And we're not gonna. Let me see how long this whole thing is here. Yeah, the problem with these, it's not that long actually. We might be able to read this whole thing. Let's see how far we get through this, and this will probably be the last thing we do tonight, guys. I love how many people are interested in this, by the way. Like, all we do is look at crazy science and like patents. Like, this has got to be like on the tier of like exciting drama. This is like the bottom row. And yet we have like hundreds of people. There's been already thousands of people that have watched this on X. You know, lots of people are interested in this stuff. Okay, the system and method for a laser-produced plasma for infrared homing missile guidance countermeasures. First of all, I'm going to show the video one more time because homing missile countermeasures, when we're looking at the MH370 videos, right away, I mean, how long have I been talking about these being like some kind of homing mechanism? They're obviously a homing mechanism. How can people think these videos are still fake after we have all these patents that describe it? I want you to look very carefully at the first orb. The first orb gives it away. Ready? Here it comes. Look how fast that orb is coming in. This orb is coming in at thousands of miles an hour. Now watch what it does. It's locking into the plane. Notice right here, it is not The first time it circles around, it doesn't circle around the entire plane. It circles on the left side of the plane. Right there. You see that? And then it figures out where the plane is. And now it circles the entire plane. See? And it does it almost instantly. But that first rotation, I'm going to show it again. The first rotation, it's not locked in. It's homing in on the plane. There it is. You see that? That very first rotation right here. It's not locked in the plane, and then it gets locked in. And not only does the first orb lock in, all the subsequent orbs are locked in as well. The second and third orbs don't have to lock in. They've already got the plane figured out. This is another reason why some kind of computer program that's like that operating these. It's not somebody shooting a beam around, moving this thing around. It's too advanced. It's being controlled, pre-programmed. The second orb is already in formation. The second orb is in a triangle formation, and there's not even a third orb there right now. This is already two parts of a triangle. And then the third orb, you see this? Like you could imagine there's a third orb there, and there would be a perfect triangle, but instead you just see the two parts of it, and the third orb is missing. And then the third orb comes flying in, and the third orb immediately gets into orientation. Immediately. This is a homing mechanism that we're looking at right there. One more time. Look at that. Boom. Gets into orientation, locks into the plane. Second orb comes in, immediately locks in. Third orb comes in, immediately locks in. To me, that's one of the most authentic pieces of this entire video, is how these things are locking into the plane right away. And now we have a patent talking about laser-induced plasma for infrared homing missile countermeasures that is basically exactly what we're looking at there. And it's randomly got a picture of Thomas Bearden's stuff here. I mean, not technically Thomas Bearden's, but it looks just like Thomas Bearden's work. Like, just like it. I don't know, chat. This is kind of weird. And this is like the 50th time we've had some crazy thing like this happen where we're like, oh, look, here's exactly what we're looking for the science, right? Sports, like Ellie says. Oh, sports. Oh, sports. Okay. Let's see. So let's go back to this. Laser-induced plasma emission spectra covers a wide electromagnetic spectra from infrared to visible and up to ultraviolet. So these might not be visible. They might not be. By fine-tuning the interaction parameters, example, the laser wavelength or laser temporal and spatial pulse profile, to me, that sounds like you're tuning your waves, right? The same way when we looked at that wave video. It's possible to maximize the radiating power for a dedicated electromagnetic spectrum. Presently, IR-guided missiles are very difficult to find as they approach a target. They do not emit a detectable radar, and they are generally fired from a rear visual aspect, directed towards the engine. Since IR-guided missiles are inherently far shorter, legged in distance and altitude than their radar counterparts, good situational awareness of altitude and potential threats continues to be an effective defense. Okay, blah, 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 using flares. IR missiles seek out the hotter flame. Okay. As more modern infrared seekers tend to have spectral sensitivity tailored to more closely match the emissions of the planes. Okay, we need more countermeasures. Sure. Okay. Here, described herein is a system and method to generate plasma-based decoy flare by using a laser source to counter an infrared homing space-to-air, surface-to-air, or air-to-air missile. With laser-induced plasma, it is possible to generate multiple wavelengths just by tuning the laser parameters. This method allows for ultra-fast response time. Due to the fact that the effect is generated by the laser beam interaction with the air, the time required to produce the flares is less than a millionth of a second. That seems very fast. Yeah, the question is, why would they not be self-sustaining? So here's the thing, right? What's the missing sauce here in this patent? The missing sauce in this patent is that you You want it to be self-sustaining. The only way it could be self-sustaining is if there's an energy source. If it's cold fusion and it's extracting energy from the ether, from the environment, and all of a sudden this same apparatus becomes self-sustaining. And once it becomes self-sustaining, now you can shoot your laser beam in there. And now it's not just a flare. Now it's an orb that's moving around at will. What if I'm a shill working for them spreading misinformation? So, great question. Guys, do I sound like a shill spreading misinformation? If you can't tell the difference between somebody who streams, I've been streaming almost every night. I had to cut it back to 3 nights a week. I've been talking about free energy and being able to teleport airplanes. Okay. And I've done all my research open source. If you can't tell that I'm an authentic person, then you probably need to, work on your discernment capabilities. When people are spreading misinformation, they generally don't do 100 podcasts and interviews. They generally don't answer any question from anybody, anytime. They generally don't make themselves, because it's hard to lie. It's easy to get caught in a lie if you're spreading misinformation. The only question could be, am I being used by people to spread misinformation? And the reason why that's not true is nobody's telling me what to look at. Nobody's telling me what to research. Nobody's telling me what to look. Nobody is. Not even my good buddy Dave Rossi is. None of them are. Not Salvatore Pais. None of these guys. That's why it's so authentic, because they don't tell me anything. I ask them questions like, hey, what do you think about this? And blah, blah, blah. And I just find it for myself, that's the crazy part. But I mean, it's a good question to ask. People do ask me that, how can I be tell that you're not a government shill or something like that? Right. I mean, I think that's a reasonable one to ask. Why are my DMs turned off? That's probably the most obvious answer out there. Even with my DMs turned off, I still get 10 to 20 DMs per day. I can't even respond to them all. I've got a job and stuff like that I got to do, guys. I have a job. I have the EtherTech thing that I'm doing. And I have my social media that I'm managing. I don't have free time in the middle of the day. I don't have free time at all. And the podcast, between all this stuff and the live streams, I don't have any free time, guys. So that's why my DMs are turned off. And also, I would get trolled literally 24/7 if my DMs were not turned off. Keep in mind that if I don't have subscriber chat turned on right now, you would be seeing racist stuff in the chat spamming nonstop. People are running bots on my account. I actually reported somebody just a few days ago that they're literally running scripts to pull all the content off my YouTube page and make defamatory videos about me. Literally, they just admitted they were doing it. I couldn't believe it. So just to give you a mindset of the level of disinformation being run against me right now, people are spending their full life trying to discredit me. Not just one, an army of people. So it's pretty crazy, man. Sure, I expected some level of disinformation, but for people to be running computer program scripts to pull keywords to search all my YouTube videos to then try to edit them into weird content, there's only two options, right? Either it's the government pushing disinformation because I'm way too over the target, or completely mentally ill people that have major psychological problems that are completely obsessed with me. And maybe it's a combination of both of those things, guys. So that's the reason why I don't have my DMs turned on. It's crazy, man. It's crazy. Yeah, you would literally be seeing spam in the chat over here, whatever. Wait, over here. Yeah. You would be seeing spam nonstop. They have bots that they run to post racist stuff in my chat all the time. It's crazy, man. It's real crazy. I don't need help with my work. I don't really want to work with a bunch of people. Early on, one of the things that people ask is hey, you should build a team and all of this. I don't know. I'm not trying to be a professional disclosure advocate. That's not really what I want to do with my life. I don't want to be a UFO talking head guy or any of that stuff. I don't mind doing podcasts and interviews and talking to people. This is not what I want to be doing in my life. What I want to be doing in my life is this. I want to do this. I want to make this stuff. I want to make crazy advanced technology And if I can do that, shit, I don't care. I'll give up all the rest of this stuff. It goes back to Bob Lazar's point, where it's like Bob Lazar was asked, like, if you could do it all over again and be a whistleblower still, would you do it? And his answer is no. He's like, I want to work on advanced secret technology. No offense, I love you guys, but I would disappear in a minute if I got to work on crazy advanced anti-gravity technology. Like, no offense, but sorry, I want to go work on anti-gravity technology. And I think humanity is kind of stupid. Like, you guys are smart. You guys are like the 1% that like actually understands that this stuff is can be real. Not even all of you believe it's real, but at least you understand that it might be real. Realize that like well over half the populace has no idea, and they don't even think that this stuff is even possible. Like the uphill battle that we're pushing on this is like people just don't understand science like at all, guys. So they don't. Anyway, okay, cool. So not trying to be mean. But also I do think that somebody asked me, do you think this technology can destroy the world? Yes. 100% yes. And that's another reason why I want to work on it, because I want to make sure that we can develop it, that the United States government has the most advanced version of it, and that we don't destroy the world. All right? That's the reason why. Okay, so let's look at a couple other paragraphs and let's call it a night after that, guys. We've already been going for 2 hours. By the way, I love you guys. I love all my people, like the people in the chat, you guys who've been following this for a long time, the people that came up to me in the Cosmic Summit. I remember this woman that works for aerospace company. I've told this story a couple times, but for some reason I think about her a lot. She says, I've been following your stuff, and you know what I concluded is that everything I'm working on is obsolete from the aerospace perspective. She's like, I work for Gulfstream, which is, they make the Gulfstream jets, you know, the G7s and shit like that. She's like, everything I'm working on is obsolete. And I said, yeah, sadly it is, right? But when I think about women like her and people that have been working on, they're like real serious professional engineers, like that's what gives me the drive to go through this stuff. I want to wake people up like that, you know? And I appreciate that there's professional people like that who are real engineers who look at this stuff and they're like, yeah, there's something here, man. There's something here. And a lot of people too, the people that are critical thinkers, especially the electrical engineers, they go through what they taught and they feel like there's something missing. Like they're not being told something. Like there's some other side of the coin that they aren't seeing, you know? So, but guys, the thing about the disinformation real quick too, is that like, there's way more stuff that if people really thought the stuff was fake, they wouldn't spend this much effort on it. There's so much other stuff that these people could be spending their time trying to debunk. Like, why aren't these people trying to debunk flat Earth? Why aren't they trying to debunk the second shooter and stuff like that related to the assassination stuff? Why aren't they trying to debunk like any of the stuff that's out there? You know, they don't spend any time debunking all the other stuff that's like easier to debunk. Instead, they're all focused on these videos, you know, which that should give you some pause, because if these videos are real, this is priority number one for the government to try to make go away, because these videos being real implicate the government in a conspiracy the likes of which we have never seen before. That's how serious of a conspiracy this is. So that should really give you the mindset that some of these people are not coming at this from a honest perspective. Like, go debunk flat Earth. I don't see anybody out there trying to debunk flat Earth. Certainly not the Redditors or whatever. There's some people that will argue with them, but nobody really goes to that effort. And you'll find out there's a lot of stuff like that. There are conspiracies and things that people believe that. Why aren't these people trying to debunk Patrick Jackson? You know, Patrick Jackson thinks that all these orbs were. He literally just takes pictures of orbs and draws circles around them, and then says this is an interplanetary defense network. What the fuck? Why aren't people debunking that guy? Why is that guy not the target of the harassment? And the reason why is actually really simple. He's not a threat. He's just some random guy making up bullshit, right? He's like literally just making bullshit up off the top of his head. Why are the debunkers attacking him? Because he has no credibility. He has not a threat to them. The reason why they attack me is because I have credibility and I am a threat to them. because I'm not just making shit up. I'm actually bringing the receipts and showing people the science. That's why they're coming after me. That's why they're trying to discredit me. That's why they're trying to make this stuff go away. So, I mean, that's the answer. Okay. Yeah, exactly. For the people that aren't over the target, nobody cares, right? If you're not over the target, they don't care about you. If you're over the target, and then they start to care, right? That's what you start to notice as well. So that's one of the things you learn about the disinformation as well, guys. Okay. Sorry, we got a little bit distracted there. Okay, we talked about the multiple wavelengths thing. We might actually be good on this. I don't know if we need more. Some of this, like, the thing about some of these patents are that it's all like technical jargon. I just want to know like the practical applications of it. Okay, an intense laser pulse has the power required to start self-focusing as defined by the propagation medium on the order of gigawatts of peak power for near-infrared propagation through sea-level air. Laser pulse can be infrared or ultraviolet. This makes me wonder whether or not you can really even see the orbs. So then they ionize the air molecules. Okay. I wonder if we even need like a gas medium for the plasma orbs then. Maybe they can just use the air, huh? When the self-focusing gets high, it creates a resulting plasma, which causes defocusing. When the intensity is lower, the defocusing starts to focus again. Interesting. As a result, the pulse maintains a plasma beam, a small beam diameter, and high peak intensity over large distances. Interesting. Okay. Through optical beam forming techniques, an array of plasma columns can be created, forming sheet-like plasma, creating a layer of excited electrons in the air. Now, this starts to sound like some of the Dutch synths and the into thin air stuff right here. This layer can be used as a reflective surface or mirror for incident energies whose frequencies are below the plasma frequency, reflecting the power away from the intended path. This also looks like wireless power. This can be used to deflect, diffract, or redirect the incident energy in a different direction. Well, that paragraph is insane. Oh, there's Chad and Sherry from Investigate Earth. Yeah, tomorrow's live stream is going to be really good, guys. I'm looking forward to it. I'll definitely restream it from on my YouTube channel as well. So that'll be awesome, man. Guys, if you want to know about the motive, like, I just can't repeat it. Like, honestly, I get asked this question like every single day. So if you look through my highlights, you'll find the answers to the motives. Also on Mondays, we'll talk about Malaysian Airlines stuff, and we'll go through theories and things like that, guys. So we just have to kind of keep it a little bit focused. I do want to answer your questions, but you'll find I've answered all of them many times over. Okay, I'm just looking at the chat. I missed a bunch of questions. But yeah, quick shout out to check out the live stream tomorrow with Chad and Sherry for the debate. We got Mark Meadows who's going to be on there. He was former chief of staff for President Trump back a few years ago. Should be pretty spicy. Okay. So we can generate a 2D or 3D volumetric image in space. Okay, so this is something about distracting it. An LIP flare array propagates in air at the speed of light, allowing for immediate deployment of a countermeasure to protect against an incoming threat. The potential applications of this flare decoy can be expanded, such as using a helicopter deploying flares to protect a battleship, or using this method to cover and protect a whole battle group of ships, a military base, or an entire city. Preferred embodiments of this invention are described here within. Variations of those preferred embodiments may become apparent to those of ordinary skill in the art upon reading the foregoing description. Well, this is an ominous sentence. Guys, look at this sentence, chat. So first of all, did you just hear the thing about protecting a whole city? Like, do you guys really think that we're afraid of intercontinental ballistic missiles, ICBMs? We can just zap this shit out of the sky. We got plasma laser-directed laser energy weapons. Like, you guys really think that we're afraid of this stuff? No chance, man. Missiles are nothing to us. We're going to destroy these missiles. If you don't think that we have this stuff in satellites in outer space, like, you are just too naive. Too naive. We got satellites that are going to zap anything out of the sky. We probably shot down that Iranian president's helicopter with something like this. Variations of those preferred embodiments may become apparent to those of ordinary skill in the art upon reading the foregoing description. This is like this sentence right here basically says, hey, if you're smart enough to read between the lines here, you can realize that this can like make balls of plasma that can float around freely. Because if you understand that free energy is all out there everywhere, now you can realize that this ball of energy doesn't have to just be a decoy. This ball of energy can become a self-sustaining ball of plasma that can float around anywhere they want it to float around. And once you get to that point, you're like, oh, well, now we're just talking about the MH370 video orbs. The inventors expect skilled artisans to employ such variations as appropriate, and the inventors intend for the invention to be practiced otherwise than as specified, described here within. Guys, what the fuck? It feels like they're talking to me. How does this sentence, how is this paragraph in here? Like, can I make this bigger? What the fuck, chat? I've been sitting here talking about, I don't think that this is just a decoy mechanism. And they have a paragraph at the end that's basically like, this isn't just a decoy mechanism. Just read between the lines and you'll figure this out. The inventors expect skilled artisans to employ such variations as appropriate. And the inventors intend for the invention to be practiced otherwise than as specifically described here within. They're basically saying, we worded it this way because this is how we're releasing it publicly, but obviously there's other mechanisms for this invention. That's what that paragraph says right there. What the hell? Accordingly, this invention includes all modifications and equivalents of the subject matter recited in the claims appended here too, as permitted by applicable law. Moreover, any combination of the above described elements and all possible variations thereof is encompassed by the invention unless otherwise herein or otherwise clearly contradicted by content. They're basically saying, if you make a ball of plasma that can float around freely using this technology, we own it. This patent covers it. This basically says that we have to, the only way we could get this patent out there published is if we say that it's a decoy. But obviously, we're using it in other ways. Wild, man. What a crazy patent, chat. This is up there with coherent matter wave beam by Lockheed Martin. This is insane. I'm kind of, is there anything else? Plasma burst application system and method. Okay, that's the same one. Anything else? Patent citations. Low laser-based flow modification. Okay. Laser-guided, laser-powered directed energy discharge device. Method and system for a shockwave attenuation via electromagnetic arc from Boeing. Man, Boeing is deep in the shit, huh? System and method. Okay, that's the one we've got. Air data system using magnetically induced voltage. This is also by Boeing. Dude, Boeing is deep in these projects as well. Thank you, Maria. Yeah, I think the scariest part about what I do is my intuition. I can read between the lines really well. And just to be honest with you guys, this comes just from my life, my lived and life experiences. The thing that I attribute to my intuition is growing up in the social media age and seeing like Reddit turn from a place where you used to be able to get the truth early on to the garbage that it is now. One thing that you learn is to not take anything at face value and not just read the headlines, but read the content and come to your own interpretation. You learn that as a skill. And if you guys learn that as a skill, you also can get the type of intuition that's required. Now, you also have to have a very good understanding of science in general and what is possible. And if you understand that, then it all starts to fit together. That's what I attribute my skill sets to. When it comes to interacting with people, I think that being like basically a professional poker player for like a year and a half, 2 years, somewhere in that range, that was one of the best skill sets I got for learning when people are telling the truth or not. It's one of those things where like you can't really explain how you know, but you just get like a feeling. Like it's just, you can just tell like there's something slightly off. Like you just get like kind of like a vibe. It's almost like a truth telling sense, but the way people act, like it's sometimes it's very small things. Sometimes it's about the way they talk. Sometimes it's the way they don't talk, stuff like that. Oh, Jared, thank you very much, man. $20 donation. Appreciate you, brother. It's awesome. Oh, somebody from Russia. I've been following your work since 2023. Question: what's your comments on MH17? I do not think that Malaysian Airlines Flight 17 was Malaysian Airlines MH370. And because you're from Russia, this might be you may disagree with this, but that's fine. I do think that Malaysian Airlines Flight 17 was shot down by the Russian Buck missile launcher. The reason why I believe that is because I was on the internet the day that happened. And I remember that the Russian separatist general, because that was when the conflict was going on early on in 2014, they bragged about shooting down the plane because they thought it was a Russian or a Ukrainian jet. So I imagine that what happened was that somebody didn't realize that it was a commercial airliner and they shot it down. And then once they realized it was a passenger plane, they deleted that post. And now I know the conspiracy theory is out there that, you know, it was MH370. It makes no sense. Like if that situation happened like a few days after Malaysian Airlines Flight 370 disappeared, maybe. The idea that somehow Malaysian Airlines Flight 370 flew to Amsterdam with a bunch of dead bodies on board for months and then was flown from Amsterdam, and that all the people that were on that plane are all fake and they're all the people that were on MH370 doesn't make any sense, unfortunately. So this is the part where I tell people don't hit on 19. Just because maybe this is a real conspiracy, this doesn't mean that every conspiracy in the world is real or that everything in the world is a conspiracy. And that's the hard part, where it's like, how can you tell? How can you tell when something's a conspiracy or not? The answer is the amount of evidence. The amount of evidence of MH370 being a conspiracy is more than could have ever imagined in my wildest dreams. The amount of evidence that the science is real for our Secret Science Wednesday, more than I could have ever imagined. I did not think that all of this science would be out there in the public. It turns out it's all out there. People just ignore it. People just don't give it any credit. Nobody understands it. Nobody looks into it. And so that's how you can tell the difference. And that's how I think that everybody should try to be careful about believing that everything's a conspiracy. There are sometimes things too that don't smell right, you know, but if you don't have the evidence to back it up, then I would say be careful about, you know, jumping all in on some of this stuff. That's all. So, but yeah, honestly, what I'm doing is like any of you guys can do it. Hopefully you guys got something useful out of this conversation, these streams that we've been doing. I don't know how long they're all going to last, but I expect we'll be doing this for at least probably another year or so. So we've got a long way to go on some of this stuff. Thank you for watching the stream tonight on laser-induced plasma, watching the videos. I hope you enjoyed it, guys. Have a great night. I'm going to finish my martini here, and I'm going to hit the hay. Tomorrow, we've got the live stream of Donald Trump's RNC speech. I'm sure it's going to be good. He just had an assassination attempt on his life. We've got Mark Meadows, who was the former chief of staff of Donald Trump. Can't wait to talk to him. And then on Friday, we're going to do Free Energy Friday. We're going to go through science that's related to the ether and to free energy. Maybe we'll watch some other free energy videos and some other devices, try to analyze whether or not we think they're legit or not. I think that a lot of the devices that are on the internet are probably not legit, but some of them probably are. So have a great night, everybody. Peace, everyone. Cheers. I'm going to play us out with a couple clips here.
conjugation, macroscopic phase conjugation. It's the edge of the world and all of the technological civilization. Breaking walls right out of the sky to an unknown destination. Rewriting laws will drop the jaws of humankind stagnation. Macroscopic phase conjugation, macroscopic phase conjugation. Atoms, files, and physics laws can lead to teleportation. Martini glass, don't forget to smash the like button on occasion. The engineers that disappeared, they didn't go on vacation. Macroscopic phase conjugation, macroscopic phase conjugation. It's the edge of the world and all of the technological civilization. Breaking walls right out of the sky to an unknown destination. Rewriting laws will drop the jaws of humankind stagnation. Macroscopic phase conjugation, macroscopic phase conjugation, macroscopic phase conjugation, macroscopic phase conjugation.
In the fields where the skies are wide, talking about a journey through the cosmic ride. Einstein and Thorne, they set the stage for a trip through time across the space age. Wormholes connect distant points in space, traversable paths to a far-off place. No black holes pull, no crushing weight, just a cosmic tunnel to a distant gate.
Talking wormholes, stargates, negative energy, travel through the cosmos, it's our destiny. MH370, where did it go? Bowling 777 through a wormhole flow. We're talking wormholes, stargates, negative energy, travel through the cosmos, it's our destiny. MH370, where did it go? Bowling 777 through a wormhole flow.
Exotic matter, negative energy's the key to stabilize the wormhole for you and me. Quantum vacuum squeezed so tight, creating conditions for this wondrous flight. Static fields and lasers in the lab they play, generating forces in a new kind of way. Gravitational squeezing, Casimir's force, negative zones we need to stay the course.
Talking wormholes, stargates, negative energy, travel through the cosmos, it's our destiny. MH370, where did it go? Boeing 777 through a wormhole flow.
Thin shell formalism plates so fine, spherical geometry we realign, energy conditions that we must defy. For a stable wormhole, let's give it a try. Forces balancing the plates, creating the throat, opening gates from Earth to the stars in a single bound. A shortcut through space profound. Engineers and dreamers hold the key to future worlds and what we could be. With science in hand, we forge ahead through the cosmic paths that we now tread.
We're talking wormholes, stargates, negative energy, travel through the cosmos, it's our destiny. MH370, where did it go? Boeing 777 through a wormhole flow.
From the fields to the stars, we break the chains. Understanding the universe, we make the gains. Lil Hula Crunk shines, bringing truth to light. Through his music, we'll explore the night. With wormholes and stargates, our path is clear. Exploring the cosmos, our